So we have officially come to the end of part 2 of the final season for Attack on Titan. Now this part of the final season has been absolutely amazing. There's been some really crazy groundbreaking episodes, and honestly the whole narrative has shifted drastically from where we left off in part 1 of the final season. Friends become foes and vice versa, as Eren has seemingly become the true enemy of the series, with his rumbling due to commit mass genocide on the rest of the world. Our newly formed alliance does everything in their power, even going as far as killing their own people to try and stop him. But who's wrong, who's right, how will things end? We just have to wait and see. Also, it was confirmed in the last episode of part 2 that we will be receiving a part 3 to the final season, which is the final part for real this time in 2023. So everyone who was speculating a movie release or part 3 for the remaining content is the latter. And as usual, shout out to Mappa for doing a really good job on adapting the final season so far. So just like I did last year, I thought it'd be good to do a little recap of all the important events taking place in this section of the final season, just to refresh everyone's memory. Whether that be for someone watching this just after part 2's conclusion, or someone watching in the future just before part 3 of the final season drops in 2023. So if you're new to the channel and this is your first time seeing my Attack on Titan videos, make sure to click that subscribe button so you never miss out on new uploads. And a quick disclaimer, this video won't contain manga spoilers or anything of the sort. It will just be going over the content we've had for part 2 of the final season. But that's enough talking from me, let's get right into the video. The second part of the final season for Attack on Titan begins with the battle between both sides on Paradis Island. Following the devastation caused by Eren and the Paradis forces on Marley, which resulted in the loss of the Warhammer Titan, countless innocent lives and the illustrious Willy Tiber, Marley refused to wait for the Global Alliance's cooperation to attack Paradis and made their move instantly, with Reiner being the one to suggest this plan of action due to them suspecting Zeke's betrayal and the decreasing chances of success for their side if they give him time to make countermeasures. So Marley launches their surprise attack, and after infiltrating the island, they manage to force Eren, who is literally Paradis' only chance of survival, into a position where he has no choice but to fight. With Marley's suspicions about Zeke and Eren regarding the power of the Founding Titan being confirmed by Gabi, a bloody battle rages on between both sides as they plan on eating Eren before he can make contact with Zeke, which would effectively put the power of the Founding Titan in Marley's hands, preventing any future retaliation from the people of Eldian permanently. And things aren't looking good for Eren as he barely manages to hold back both Reiner and Galliard, mainly due to their additional support. And as the battle ensues, we have a multitude of plot points progressing / coming to fruition. Zeke survives the self-inflicted Thunder Spear attack, which was a last resort to get Levi out of the picture, after he ends up in the paths where his body is reconstructed by none other than the founder Ymir Fritz, and after seemingly being reborn, Zeke joins the battle and helps Eren to fight back. Meanwhile, our main Paradis members, or I guess I'll just refer to them as Levi's squad for the sake of not name dropping every single time, has decided to believe in Eren as they go to the surface to back him up. The Paradis forces who drank Zeke's spinal fluid prepare for the worst as they get ready to fight the Marleyans, and amidst the battle, Gabi has ultimately come to the realization of all people being the same regardless of where they are from, and has started to see the error of her ways. As the battle reaches its climax, Zeke is taken down by Magath and Peak's anti-Titan artillery shot and falls to the ground. The events that follow this is the barely alive Zeke using his trump card, which is his scream, to turn all the Eldians who ingested his spinal fluid through the wine into pure Titans he can control. And while this power move allows Zeke to turn the tide of battle in his and Eren's favour, unfortunately Colt and Falco are casualties in this situation, with the former being killed while staying by his brother's side, and the latter turning into a pure Titan. So at this point the Marleyans are fighting a losing battle pretty much, with the countless pure Titans under Zeke's control running wild, plus the loss of one of their main fighters Galliard, as he valiantly sacrificed himself to save Falco, which also means that Falco is now the new holder of the Jaw Titan. While all of this happens, Eren starts running towards Zeke so the two can make contact and use the absolute power of the Founding Titan as they please to save Eldian. However, just as it looks like there's no hope for Marley, Gabi blasts Eren's head clean off before he can reach Zeke. But somehow by a string of fate, or stroke of luck I guess you can say, just before Eren's life force runs out, Zeke manages to catch his head and the two gain the power of the Founding Titan, as we see both Yeager brothers in the mysterious paths where the founder Ymir resides. Now to briefly go over the paths for the sake of the recap, the paths can be seen in two simple ways. First being that the paths is something invisible that connects all subjects of Ymir in the world together, with this theory being proposed due to the fact that when one of the 9 Titans died, without being transferred through the method of being eaten, the powers would spawn in a random Eldian baby, anywhere regardless of relation or location. And also there's the memories Titan shifters inherit, which support this. Then there's the world of the past that was created after the founder Ymir's death, that she uses to create and mold Titans out of the sand that's present in that space. As Ymir sculpts these Titans, they manifest in the real world, as we saw her creating the millions of colossal Titans in the walls. so this process would also apply for all of the 9 Titans and any others we see in the series. And back to the theory of subjects of Ymir being connected by something invisible, when in the past world, we see a massive tree of light with hundreds, thousands, if not millions of branches which represent all the Eldians who came after Ymir, thus confirming all Eldians are connected. And I also forgot to mention that time is not a concept in the world of the paths. So now that I've briefly gone over the paths, let me go over the events that took place following Zeke and Eren's arrival to this mysterious land. After Eren makes his true motives known and betrays Zeke and his euthanization plan, Zeke, who is currently in control of the Founder, brings the two of them into Grisha's memories as a way to convince Eren that his way of thinking is something constructed purely as a result of his father's brainwashing. Since Zeke believes the two of them shared a similar upbringing, naturally as they have the same father, and since Eren ended up doing what the old Grisha and Marley would have wanted as an Eldian restorationist, up to this point in this series anyway. So after the two Yeager brothers witnessed their father's memories from when he arrived at Paradis Island, we learn a shocking truth once we arrive at the memory of Grisha killing the royal family of the Wolves, and that is the ability of seeing the future, which is unique to the Attack Titan, which completely recontextualizes the world of Attack on Titan, as we learn that Eren, specifically Eren in the future, was manipulating Grisha in the past with specific memories of the future so that he would gain the attack and founding Titan, basically putting things in motion for everything we have seen in the series up to this current point. And as we see the current Eren manipulating Grisha of the past to slaughter the Reyes family, we learned at the point where Eren himself became aware of future events and outcomes was when he kissed Historia's hand back in season 3. Due to Historia being of royal blood, also known as the Reyes family, the connection between her and Eren opened up memories of Grisha in the past slaughtering the Reyes family. And upon Eren seeing this, he would have witnessed and seen Grisha being manipulated by himself in the future and got all the memories at the same time of the future Grisha saw, which is why Eren had this shocked and distraught look on his face, because he's essentially had his own series spoiled for him at this point and he's seen his own future to an extent. It's just a matter of moving forward to make the set in stone future come to reality. Hence why Eren changed somewhat drastically in the final season. Moving on from this, after Zeke learns the truth about everything and has been instructed by Grisha to stop Eren, he tells Ymir to remove the ability to reproduce from all subjects of Ymir, which will finally complete his euthanization plan. As the founder Ymir moves towards the coordinate to carry out Zeke's order, long story short, Eren breaks free of his earthen chains and moves to stop her, and in the process of doing this, we learn of the horrifying backstory of Ymir Fritz. And for the sake of the video, I'll try to keep this part short. Ymir was originally a normal girl whose village was one day attacked by the Fritz Eldian Empire 2000 years ago. The village was burned to the ground and the survivors of the attack were forced into slavery, Ymir being one of them. At one point during her time as a slave for Fritz, she would release pigs from a pig pen, which would result in her being made as a public example to the slaves of what happens to people who act out of line, whether you're a child or not. Ymir was freed only to be hunted for sport by Eldian soldiers and dogs, and as she fled, she would stumble upon a tree in the middle of the forest. As she entered this tree, she would trip and fall, submerging into water where she thought her life would come to an end. But just as we think it's all over for Ymir, a luminescent spine, which has been said to be the source of all living matter, a parasite, or even a god, appears in the water and connects itself with Ymir, making her the first Titan shifter. However, even after Ymir gained this otherworldly power, she would remain a slave to Fritz, as we see her conquering other nations with her Titan abilities. Pretty much we see how the Eldian Empire was truly established and how they expanded their civilization by means of eugenics and other horrid acts within this whole flashback. Ymir would have 3 children by Fritz, being Maria, Rose and Sheena, the names of the wolves, and she would lose her life protecting Fritz from an assassination attempt. Following her death, Fritz would have her children eat her spine, which is how the power of the Titans would traditionally be passed on throughout the ages. However, for Ymir, who ended up in the world of the past after her death, time would never move for her, as she would spend eternity as a slave to Fritz's ideologies, crafting and sculpting the Titans all alone, with no freedom of her own. That is until Eren proclaimed that she's not a slave or a god, she's just a person, and that he would put an end to this world and that she had been waiting 2000 years for someone. So after Eren's words connected deeply with Ymir, she decides to give him her power, as we see the walls of Shiganshina drop as Eren takes his founding Titan form and the rumbling commences, with millions of colossal Titans marching on the earth. And with the rumbling now in motion, Eren, by way of the paths, informs all subjects of Ymir worldwide that he rejects the desire of the world to wipe out Paradis, and that he will have the War Titans trample the outside world until every single life is wiped out. So Eren's pretty much planning to commit genocide. Now for this specific portion of the video, I'm going to just mention all the important things that are going on at once, because if I try to go in detail on all of them, we will be here forever, and honestly it's just not necessary to do that. So following Eren's rumbling, we have in chronological order for the most part, Levi's squad realizing that Eren is going through regenocide to protect them since they are most important to him. Then a small dispute between them about who they want to feed Falco, the new Jaw Titan, to, which leads to Connie kidnapping him to feed to his mother, but overall his plans fail and fall apart. Gabby saving Kaya and the Blouse family from the now Titanized Mr. Nile, the death of Commander Pixis and the Paradis forces killing Titans just like the good old days, Flock detaining the Marley volunteers only for Onyankopon and Yelena to be rescued, Annie being freed from her crystal after 4 long years due to Eren undoing all the hardening and joining up with our main squad. We also find out Levi is still alive and kicking, and the creation of our allied group from Marley and Paradis who want to stop the rumbling. And on a separate note, we also learn of the mystery behind Marco's death in season 1, which was due to him finding out Reiner's secret of being a Titan shifter. Reiner, with the help of Annie and Bertolt, would leave Marco without ODM gear, making him an easy victim for a nearby Titan, which was definitely a hard pill to swallow for Jan when he heard the news. However, after airing out all their truths and putting their differences to the side for the sake of stopping Eren's rumbling, our alliance moves forward towards the port with the intention of getting on the Azumabito's flying ship, so they can catch up to the rumbling and put a stop to it. Moments later, a massive battle between the Yeagerists and our allied group takes place, with both sides being pushed to the edge. And as the situation deteriorates for the allied group, who now need to not only seize the flying ship, but also protect the Azumabito workers who will service it in the city of Odihar, Falco transforms into his Jaw Titan form, which gives them the edge they need to win the battle. Oh yeah, and we can't forget Gabby, who stopped Flock's attempt at destroying the ship at the final second, and Keith Shadis, who stopped the trains carrying Yeagerist reinforcements. With the end of this crazy conflict, we lose General Magath and Keith Shadis, who stayed behind to blow up the Marley cruiser ship to prevent any chase for our group. And we also learned that Liberia and Marley is definitely going to be destroyed by the rumbling, which made Annie, whose goal was to see her father, lose all the will to fight. So now that the allied group of Marley and Paradis are on their way to stop the rumbling, we learn of the events that took place when the residents of Paradis, being Eren and co, visited Marley for the first time. So this would have been taking place roughly a year or 2 ago from where we are right now in the series. With this flashback taking place from Mikasa's perspective, we get to see the Survey Corps witness the outside world by themselves for the first time. However, despite their optimistic approach to dealing with the threat of the world towards Paradis Island with a peaceful resolution, they quickly learn just how bad the Eldians are viewed around the world and that it pales in comparison to the hate for the island. And we even get to see a glimpse of how far their hatred goes when the residents of Marley suggest throwing a child who stole into the sea or even smashing his hand as punishment, just because he might be Eldian. As the Survey Corps continue their time in Marley, Kiyomi Azumabito further explains the situation of Eldians on the outside world and how bad it is, but they still want to pursue a means to peace no matter how low the chance. And it's not until our group, while undercover, attends a hearing for subjects of Ymir that they learn just how much the world seeks the extinction of the Eldians on Paradis. Again, this was just showing our main cast firsthand the harsh reality of their situation. And I think it's very important to point out the fact that Eren naturally had a different reaction to all these situations / encounters, since he's already seen the future by this point and the past through Grisha's memories. But in regards to Mikasa in the current time, she wonders if when she and Eren were alone in Marley and he asked her what he meant to her, if she gave him a different answer, could this whole situation have been avoided? But I guess we'll never know. So while we had seen Eren's stance on the whole situation throughout the season in small bits, with the end of part 2 we get to see more into Eren's mind, why he's doing what he's doing, and how he feels during the rumbling. Immediately after Mikasa's flashback, we learn of the events that took place leading up to the rumbling from Eren's perspective. Him meeting up with Yelena and having Flock follow along with the euthanization plan on the surface so they could gain the power of the Founding Titan and wipe out all their enemies in the world, and his main reasoning for this being the fact that he doesn't want his friends to die and he wants them to live long and happy lives. He's willing to wipe out the rest of the world for that cause, and he's not willing to sacrifice his or his friends' freedom for the sake of others. As we saw when his story was happy at the fact they even tried to find a solution to save her, but Eren wasn't, and he was adamant on the rumbling despite the fact his story was against it. And we've already seen the lengths Eren is willing to go for this cause, since he knows this is the only way to bury the hatred of the world once and for all. As we end off the second part of the final season, with Eren's rumbling arriving at Marley after destroying the biggest form of resistance the world has, which was his global allied fleet. So part 3 of the final season is where everything is going to be coming to an end, so stay tuned. But with that being said, that's going to be it for the recap video. I hope I managed to cover all of the vital things going on in this season. Well, this part of this season anyway. And if there's anything I missed, be sure to comment it in the comment section down below. And try not to spoil anything, since I know there's going to be some people holding it down until 2023. And to those people, good luck. But I do hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, feel free to share the video with anyone you think that needs it. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.